Hey guys, this is Bruce. Welcome to Convocourses. I'm starting a little bit late today. Had some personal stuff going on, but as promised, I'm going to bring you guys a little bit of knowledge on how I've been using artificial intelligence for cyber learning. And I think last week when we were talking about, somebody asked me, how can I use ChatGPT to actually it wasn't even about ChatGPT. They said, how can I get questions because I'm about to take the Security Plus? Like what kinds of things do I recommend for testing to prepare for testing for a IT certification? That was something like that was their question. And I said last week, listen, what I think you should do is use ChatGPT. I gave them like, okay, go buy books, study the books, make sure the books have a bunch of questions in the back, study those questions. And I said, you can also um, go find some questions online. And I also said another thing you can do: watch a ton of videos on YouTube for free and that kind of thing. But also try to use large language models because there's a way that you can use them to help you to train for these tests. And I'm going to demonstrate to you what I mean here in a second. I'm getting set up here on some of the other streaming platforms. So let me just do that real quick. I've been using ChatGPT and some of the other large language models to learn about AI and to learn how to use it and stuff like that. So I've been using it quite a bit. And what I learned was a ton of things. But one of the main things that I'm finding is how useful it is. It's just extremely useful on multiple different levels. So I would like to show you guys how I'm actually using it. Give me a second here. Bear with me. Let me get all this stuff set up. Choose a topic. Chat interview. Okay. Give me a second, guys. I'm actually already signed in to ChatGPT and a couple of other large language models, but I'm trying to set up another couple of other streaming sessions. This is all. I'm not. This is not rehearsed. I'm gonna show you literally like what I do, and so I'm hoping that like you could take that with you and come up with creative ways you can use it for yourself. So you should be seeing my screen. Hold on, let me switch here so you can see my screen. Okay, so I'm on three different large language models. I'm on ChatGPT, Gemini from Google, and one called Claude AI from Anthropic, a company called Anthropic. These are all the best right now. These are um, the best ones that I've messed with. There's other ones like Perplexity, and then there's I don't know. There's some open source ones that you can use. There's Grok from X. There's a ton of other ones out there, but these, from what I've been using, these are the best ones. I mean, ChatGPT is so good that I actually pay for it. And Gemini, I'm messing around with that one right now. I'm currently paying for it. But I'm not sure how long I'll keep it. As far as paid, these are all free, by the way. You can access these all for free. So go to chat, just type in ChatGPT on your favorite browser and you'll find it. Then you can follow along with me. What I'm about to show you today, there's a few things. The main things I would use it for if I were you, if I was trying to get into this field in cyber or really whatever field you're trying to get in. You can learn, you can literally use what I'm about to show you on any field of study. But for mine, it's mostly it's information technology. So I'm going to clear the screen here on ChatGPT. Clear screen real quick. Okay. So right now I'm in a virtualized version of Cisco iOS, which I'll talk to you about in a second. Right now, let me show you something about testing. How can you use this for testing? Like, let's say you were about to take a nursing exam or an SAT or a ACT, or you were about to take the bar, or you're about to take an IT certification. Let's say you were trying to take Security Plus. So how would you use something like ChatGPT to help you to get ready for that security certification? So let me show you. So we're gonna use is what's called a prompt. Prompt is just giving commands, like telling it what to do. And the better your prompt, the better your response. So I'm going to show you one that I use for testing. So what you'll do is you're going to type in, you're going to just tell it, create a question. Let's do about let's do 4 questions. Create a 4-question multiple choice. Hold on. Okay. Create a 4-question a 4-question multiple choice test for CompTIA A plus SY0701, because they come in, you have 501, you have 601. So we want to make sure we're on the most current one. The most current one right now is SY071. So make the test interactive. Allow me to answer the questions and wait until I answer them before I get another question. Another thing you can add at the end of this is, like, you can have it do like a little report of how many you did right and wrong. You can have it add all the ones you did wrong and then explain why they were wrong. You can do things like that. But for now, let's just keep it simple. We're just going to say create a 4-question multiple choice test for X certification. Make the test interactive and allow me to answer the questions and wait until I answer it before the question is before you go on to the next question. Okay, so let's go ahead and hit enter. And the first question pops up. And it's saying, or if you can't see it, it says, which of the following is an example of a multi-factor authentication? So it gives me answer A is username and password. Username and password incorrect, because the username is an identifier and then the password is an authenticator. You want 2 different authenticators. Then it says B, password and PIN number. C, fingerprint and retina scan. And password, last one, D, password and smart card. Actually, those 3 are all multi-factor authentication, because there are multiple ways that you're using authentication. Now, this one right here is going to demonstrate how cool this is, but also the fallibility of ChatGPT, because these large language models are not perfect. So let's see. Let's say we said A, the wrong. If we said this one, it's wrong, right? But let's say B. B. The real answer is B, C, and D. That's the real answer. But it's going to say, okay, choose one of the options. Okay, let's just choose a wrong one. Let's choose A. I know for sure that's wrong. The real answer is all 3 of those last 3, but it's only going to take one answer, that's something we could correct in the questioning and the prompt itself. All right, so the next question is, which of the following is a primary goal of CIA triad in cybersecurity? And this one, if you guys know, let me see if anybody knows this one. You guys know what the CIA triad is? Anybody? So the first one is saying A, compliance, identification, and authorization. B, control, integrity, and authentication. C, confidentiality, integrity, availability. And D, confidentiality, identification, and access. Which one do you guys think it is? Somebody said C. Anybody else? Anybody else? Okay, nobody. People are too afraid to answer, so maybe they don't know what it is. It's okay to be wrong. It's okay to be wrong. The answer is C. Thank you, my story. That's right, C. Confidentiality, integrity, and availability. But let me just make it wrong. I'm gonna make this one. I'm gonna say A. A. Okay, let's see what it does. And it says, thank you. Let's proceed to the next question. It didn't grade me right away, but that's something I could add into my prompt. I could say, okay, if it's wrong, tell me it's wrong. Or I could say, make sure the grades are given at the end. I can do certain things. I could do some things like that. But question 3, let's move on. And I'm only going to do 4 of these and then we'll move on. I want to just show you the power of using AI using large language models, and also want to demonstrate the other ones, Claude and Gemini, to show you. Yeah, that's right. See, okay, on 3, which one is it? Okay, you're answering 3. What type of attack involves intercepting and altering communications between two parties who believe they are directly communicating with each other? Okay, this is an easy one. A, B, C, or D? Somebody said B. Any other ones? Any other takers? Anybody jump in? It's okay to be wrong. Like this is an opportunity. We're all learning here. All right, so A is denial of service, B, man in the middle attack, C, phishing, and D, SQL injection. What do you guys think it is? Anybody? I got one answer. Somebody said B, and yeah, it's B. Answer is B. It's a man in the middle attack. So they're intercepting the information in between two parties. So let's go ahead and put B. We'll make this one correct. And then we got one last question left. Last question. And if you guys are joining me late, what I'm doing is demonstrating the power of large language models. That's what you're looking at here is ChatGPT. And I'm going to demonstrate a few different ways that you can use it. And you can put this in your toolbox for training and even teaching others. Okay, so question 4. Which of the following best describes a zero-day vulnerability? So A, vulnerabilities that has been publicly disclosed with a patch available. B, a vulnerability that is exploited before the vendor is aware of it. C, a vulnerability that has been known for 90 days. And D, a vulnerability that affects only obsolete systems. And somebody said 4 is B. That's correct. B, a vulnerability that is exploited before the vendor is aware of it. That's a zero-day attack. That's correct. Now these are very straightforward and simple. And the thing is, you can make this as hard as you want. You can make. I just made this a 4-question test. You can make this a 50-question test. You can make it more interactive. So there's a lot of different things that you can do with ChatGPT. So let's keep going. Okay, one of my streams just crashed on me. So, okay, let's just end that one. Okay, no problem. Let's keep going. Hopefully this thing doesn't destroy my stream. Okay, forget it, man. Okay. All right. You guys still see me, hear me? All right, one of my streams just dropped. Okay. Let me see. It says, thank you for completing the test. Here are your answers and the correct responses. And it gives me all the answers, A, B, B, and then it gives me the correct answers for each one. So that's cool. That's the kind of stuff it does. Now, the great thing about this is, let me show you something. So you don't have to use ChatGPT because all the other ones do something very similar to this. And I could have easily done this for CompTIA A+, Network Plus. I could have done this, a 50-question test on ITIL, on all these different ones. And I've already demonstrated, I went through this one on Gemini. I'm on the advanced version of Gemini, but it also does the same thing. Somebody said, I'm getting an A+, a CompTIA A+, and a Network Plus, a Security Plus. What jobs can I get? I'll get to that in a minute. Right now, I'm demonstrating things that you can do to use ChatGPT to further your cyber career path and skill set. All right, so Gemini did the same thing. I answered all these questions already. Here it is right here. And it had some encryption questions, and these are the types of questions you might see on an A+ certification. So then I went to Claude. So Claude also does the same thing. They're pretty much on the same level. Claude, ChatGPT, and Gemini are pretty much all on the same hemisphere. I would say ChatGPT is slightly better than all of these right now, but right now they're in this arms race where each one's kind of trying to get more and more accurate. One thing I will say about this, and what I've learned having messed around with these, and I'll show you guys a couple more things I use this thing for my own training, for my own personal development, and all that kind of stuff. One thing you should be aware of is that This thing is not perfect. It is not perfect. Some of the answers can be wrong. Sometimes it'll like daydream. It'll just hallucinate and come up and make fake stuff up. So I wouldn't rely on this 100%. And this is why when people say, "Oh, it's going to take jobs," man, not right now, not in this current state, not like this, because it's making all kinds of mistakes. So and it'll speak on things like it really knows it. Um, so that's one thing you want to be aware of. Don't use it for don't rely on any one source, right? Don't make sure you're hitting the books. Go to the official sites, download the official material, um, watch videos, do separate study, right? Just use this as part of your tool chest, but not 100% of everything you're going to use it with. It's great for if you're trying to learn cloud stuff. Like you can have it do a 50 or 200 question test to where it's just like hitting you up to where your brain is getting used to the types of questions that they're going to ask you. You could actually get a whole bunch of questions that give it as a sample. You can give it an example of what you want, and it'll replicate. It'll give you it will take what you gave it. If you upload all these different questions, if you happen to have like a whole database of questions, you can upload it there and say, look, make questions that are similar to these questions that are about CompTIA A plus or about ITIL or about CISSP or whatever your test is, right? So there's just multiple things that you can do. You can use it for cloud, you can use it for network engineering, you can use it for all kinds of stuff. And speaking of network engineering, let me show you another really cool thing. This one like really blew my mind. This absolutely blew my mind when I first was messing around with this. All right, so now what I'm going to do is put in a different prompt. So in this prompt, I'm going to get it to simulate the back end of a router. So a router is an internet working device that is used for the internet. Like right now, you are using it without even knowing it. You're using a router. It's sending packets from one local area network across a wide area network to deliver all the packets that you can see me. And all of us are using routers, right? It's the backbone of the internet. And so one of the things about a router is that if you're a network engineer, you have to be able to navigate the back end of it. You have to go into what's called a command line interface. So ChatGPT can emulate it can emulate an operating system. It can look and do all the things an operating system will do in the command line. So let me show you what I'm talking about if you don't know. All right, so what I'm going to do is put in a command. Put in a prompt that says create a simulation of a Cisco iOS. That's what the operating system of Cisco is called. Command line interface. So create a simulation of a Cisco iOS command line interface. Make it interactive and conducive to learning. So I'm telling it right away, look, I'm trying to learn how to use command line interface in a Cisco iOS. You can actually get very specific. You can say, look, I want this kind of switch. I want a 3540 switch from Cisco. I want a Juniper 5516, whatever the hell they're called, right? You can actually get very specific and it'll deliver. Watch, check this out. So here we go. It's going to simulate. It's an interactive Cisco iOS command line interface simulation. Welcome to the interactive Cisco iOS command line interface simulation. In this simulation, you could practice basic commands and configuration steps. I'll guide you through some of the common tasks and provide feedback. Look at that. Boom. Now check this out. Now, if you happen to be a network engineer, like this will be a great way for without you spending anything, because actually the stuff I'm doing here, you can do for free, right? Without having to hook up GNS3 or any kind of, they have these things already, like a simulated router that are way better than what you're seeing here, by the way. Like this is not going to replace the stuff that's out there. They got some really cool stuff out there that has you like little graphical interfaces and all kinds of stuff. But this right here, for like if you have you just want to do it real quick, you're on a budget, you want to just get in there and mess around, like this is great. for doing that. So let's go ahead and type in a help, because it's telling me right away. It says it has the router and the prompt shell, and it's saying please enter the command to begin. And let's say I don't know any commands. Let's say I'm really learning from scratch. I don't know anything. It's telling me if you're not sure what to type, just type in help or a question mark, and that's literally a command in a Cisco router's command line interface. So I'm just going to go ahead and type in a question mark, and it's going to tell me different commands that I can use. And that's what a Cisco backend of a Cisco router looks like. And it's saying router execute commands, and it gives me a list of commands. And one of the ones I'm familiar with, besides log out and exit and ping, those are real basic commands, is show. I know this is a very, very important command. So let me get in the command line here, and let's just say show. And then I can put question mark. With Cisco routers, you can put the command and a question mark, and it'll tell you other things that you can do with that particular command. So that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to go ahead and type in show question mark, and it'll say the router will show me, okay, you want to show commands? Here's some show commands that you can use. And one of the ones I used to use a lot when I was doing network engineering is show running config. Show running config. Watch, check this out. And it gives me a fake configuration for a phantom virtual router. I mean, this right here just blew my mind when I first saw this, because that's what it looks like when you're doing command line interfaces on a router. But there's more. Check this out. So let's say I didn't want to do router. Let's say I wanted to do an interface of a Palo Alto firewall or something. A Palo Alto firewall. So here's my command again. I'm going to retype in my command. It says create a simulation of I said before it was Cisco IOS. Now what I'm going to put in is Palo Alto. Palo Alto. Because Palo Alto and all devices really have a command line interface. That's the back end. It's not a GUI. It doesn't look pretty, but it can do most of the commands that you do on the GUI interface or the graphical user interface. It can do on the back end, and some things you can't do in the GUI interface that you have to do in the command line interface. And that's why it's very, very important as an IT professional to at some point learn command line interface. So we're saying create a simulation of a Palo Alto command line interface, make it interactive and conducive to learning. Okay, so boom, I'm gonna hit that, and now look at that. I'm in a Palo Alto command line interface. The back end of it looks much different, and it has what's really cool about command line interface, especially in internet working devices from Juniper to Cisco to firewalls, is most of them are based off of Linux. So if you actually learn Linux, it's a huge help. Like I had the benefit of actually learning Linux in the beginning of my career, and just those simple commands like the ls command and I don't know, concatenate, and just all these basic commands that you can use in moving directories. Those are used in a lot of different firewalls, backends of the firewall, the command line interface of firewalls, internet working devices. The entire backbone of the internet has some sort of command line that is very, very useful. Especially if you're doing pen testing, or you're some kind of a hacker, or you're going that route as a pen tester or something like that, you have to learn command line interface. Anyway, so let me type in question mark. Let's see what commands we have. You might have a show command, just like the Cisco. Yep, there it is. Show. So now let's see what we have here. Let's just put in show question mark to see what other commands on this Palo Alto firewall. And you guys there's some people who follow me who use this on a daily basis. Like, does this look familiar to you? If you happen to have, because I've never been in the back end of a Palo Alto, I don't think so, Palo Alto firewall. Maybe. I think I have once, but it's so long ago, so far in between, but I don't remember. But does this look familiar, what you're seeing on the screen? So now I'm in the back end of a Palo Alto firewall. So now let me put in show. I don't see config, so I'm gonna put in. Oh, there it is. Show config. So it's gonna show me the configuration of this phantom Palo Alto firewall that I happen to be on. Yeah, I mean, it looks real. It looks real. So look at this. It has set commands. That looks very familiar to me. Um, so that's what I want to show you. You can actually do questions. You can have an interactive questions on AWS, on Azure certifications, on all kinds of certifications. And then you can also do interactive testing. And this would be really, really useful if you were going for a CCNA, because CCNA, I believe, is a interactive test where not only is some of it written, but it's actually interactive. You have to do show commands, and you have to back up the router, and you have to, configure the router and the switch or whatever. So this right here could help you out quite a bit. So one thing I'm curious about is I'm on ChatGPT, but I want to see if Gemini can do a simulated router. I know it can do the interactive questions and answers for testing for cybersecurity or IT certifications, but let's see if it'll do a simulation of a Cisco IOS. Let's see. So I just put that in Gemini. Yeah, it's doing the exact same thing. In fact, it looks even prettier. So let's say we wanted to question. Let's see what it does here. Execute command. Oh, it's not quite looking like a Cisco router. I suppose I could do more commands to a prompt to make it look more like a Cisco router. But let's say show version. See if it is still pretending to be a router or a Cisco device. Yeah, it is. Look at that. That's pretty cool. It's that is freaking crazy, dude. That is. Oh, okay. Now it just froze on me. I'm a language model and I don't have the capacity to. Okay. All right. So it just stopped. This is the first time I actually used Gemini to do that. But ChatGPT works like a charm for doing that. But for whatever reason, it kind of stopped on Gemini. Let me see if it can do it on Claude. I'm curious. Claude is one of the better large language models out there. So what we did was we typed in create a simulation of a Cisco iOS command line interface and make it interactive. Okay, let's see if it'll do it on Claude. Okay, looks similar. This looks really good. And it's giving me instructions on what I'm looking at. It's describing everything that we're looking at. That's nice. That's really cool. So let's see if we can type a command in. Looks like you entered a question mark. And it's explaining what a question mark is in the command. That's really very, very useful. Claude does not have the ability to run the code it generates yet. Okay. But it's still very helpful. So Claude and ChatGPT can do simulations and actually train you as it goes. For whatever reason, Gemini froze up. I don't know. I'm not sure like why it did. It started doing it, and then it says, "Oh, I'm a large language model. I can't do that," which is weird because it was actually doing it. So yeah, there's two different ways that you could use. Like if let's say you were in IT and you're trying to learn do the CISSP or you're trying to do the PMP or whatever, it's super super useful for that kind of thing. One of the things I use it for a lot is editing. I write a lot of books, I write a lot of content, and editing is one of my biggest challenges. It's the most expensive thing that sometimes I'll do, especially if it's like a fiction book or something like that. It just gets really expensive really fast. So it's really really cool to use for an editor. I'll write a book or write a first draft, and then I'll take paragraphs and say, look, here's a book I wrote for this. How can I make, what problems do you see in this text? And it'll look through line by line my text that I wrote, and it'll say, you did this, and it'll label them like you did this, 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 this. You have a misspelling here. This is grammar. This is not the right grammar. The syntax is wrong here. I suggest this and that. And then I'll say, okay, incorporate all of your suggestions, incorporate into what I just wrote. It'll rewrite it with all of its suggestions. And then I'll take a look at it. And sometimes it's not a great writer. It writes a little bit wooden, meaning there's no feeling in it. No, the thing is, you can put in the prompt, you can actually have it write more like yourself, or is you give it demonstrations of how you write, or you can say, hey, I want you to write humorous, or I want you to write like you're like a fiction writer from the 1990s, a genre noir cyberpunk feel, make it grimy, have a lot of cuss words in it or whatever, and it'll do that. Like it can put in fake feelings in the writing. It's freaking incredible. But I wouldn't don't rely if you take nothing else from what I'm telling you here when you go and mess around with this Anthropic Claude AI, or if you mess around with ChatGPT or whatever, don't rely on it too much. Like it's a great tool, but it can't replace your creativity. It can't replace one. There's a few really huge issues with AI, and one of them is that it steals information from other people. What it'll do is if you have it write an article, right? He's like, okay, I want you to write an article on climate change and how it's affected by the solar mass ejection or something, right? It'll write like a whole thesis about it, right? But what you'll find is that it's pulling information from other people's articles. And then if you actually run it through a plagiarism plagiarism app, it'll tell you exactly where it got it from. And sometimes it's getting like paragraphs and parts of paragraphs from whole texts from Cambridge or from Wikipedia or whatever, and it's putting them all together. So you do not want to rely on this for writing too much because it copies other people's stuff, and you have a huge plagiarism problem if you're doing that too much. You definitely want to put the human element of yourself. You need to put your own pen on that paper at some point, because you don't want to rely too heavily. It's great for things that it's not going to mess up. It's going to be grammar. It's not going to mess that up. It's not going to mess up spelling. It's not going to mess up like if you misplaced words or something like that. It'll fix those like structural issues, and it'll point out like structural things like in your logic or something. But what it is not good at, in my opinion, is creativity. It tends to mess that up. And then even when it gets it right, sometimes it'll hallucinate certain, like if you have things that you need to have written as facts, and there's no room for argument if it's a fact, right? If it's a 1 or a 0, and sometimes it'll just make some stuff up and very confidently make things up. And that is one of the big issues. So it's a great tool to use, but it's not a replacement for your skills or your creativity or you, because it's going to borrow stuff from other people. It's going to plagiarize. It's going to do all kind of stuff. Let me see what other things I can show you guys that I thought were really cool with this thing. I guess I could show you GPTs. GPTs is this feature that's used that ChatGPT has, and I don't know if the other ones have this yet. I think that they're going to follow suit at some point. A GPT is where you train the ChatGPT to focus on one thing and be like an expert at one thing. And I can give you a specific example. Here's one I put out publicly. What I did was I grabbed some skills. I grabbed an entire article of skills on how to write a resume, and I uploaded those to this GPT. And then I also uploaded my own personal resume, some of the best resumes I've had that I've seen, great keywords, things like that, and I uploaded them into this resume, into this GPT. And then I gave it real good, unique action verbs that are used. I gave it a template for ATS style. I put all this stuff into it. I said, look, you're going to reference all this stuff. I uploaded, and anybody can do this, by the way. So you don't have to use mine. Mine's free if you want to go out there and look for ATS Resume Architect. It's out there. I think you have to be a paid member. I'm not sure. Just go ahead and check it out. Anyway, so this is out there for free, and it will optimize your resume to an ATS style resume. So, and it's mostly for IT professionals. I use it for I was just messing around with it to see if I can make a quicker process of fixing other people's resumes, because people will send me their resume. So I'm like, man, I don't have time for this. So I just put this thing together. And so that's what this is for. So what's really cool about this is let me just give you a demonstration here. So if I say create an ATS style resume sample, I can just click this here. and let's see what it does. So it'll make like a sample resume, and see how it has lots of numbers in there, because according to Resume Worded and Resume Genius, what they're really looking for when I say they, employers, is numbers. Now this one has a little too many percentages in there. That's kind of suspicious. So I would definitely put the human touch on this, because it's looking a little bit robotic in my opinion. But another thing you can do with this is you can upload your resume. You can take your resume and upload it into this GPT, and then it'll take your resume and it'll make it an ATS style resume. It'll add a bunch of numbers in there. It'll help you to develop a better resume. So, and if you don't have to use this GPT, like all you really have to do is upload your resume right now for free. Upload your resume and say, make my resume better. Like, see, that's all you got to do. ATS style resume. I'm trying to be a cybersecurity expert. I'm trying to be a digital forensics guy. Make my resume better. What things can I do to make my resume better? That's what you could do, something like that, and it will give you suggestions to make your resume better. And that's what they are, suggestions. You don't have to use them. It's just suggestions. At some point, you got to put your own pen to the paper and manually put your stuff in there. So um, that's those are the main things that I use it for. I use it for writing. I use it for You can use it for training if you're going for certifications, and then resumes. I use it quite a bit for resumes, like if I'm messing with somebody else's resume or something like that. Um, and that's just a few things that you can do with it. Another thing that you can do, another cool thing, is I made this one GPT where I uploaded a whole bunch of material on, let's say it was astral projection, right? It could be anything. It could be cars. It could be um, rock formations. It can be mathematics, whatever. You can upload. I had a whole bunch of these books that are PDF. I upload them in here, and now this is basically a database for anything dealing with uh, out of body experiences. Anything dealing with that, it will read through all these different books, and I can ask it any questions. I can ask it for, like, give me some tips on how to do it. Give me some tips on scientific explorations of this subject. Give me tips on some phenomenon in the last 3 years involving this, and it'll pull from this source of. I think I put like 10 books in there, and it'll pull from those like a library and give me information. So you can keep in mind you can do that with anything. It doesn't have to be some weird shit like I got in here. It could be for information technology. It could be for cloud computing. It could be for economics. Like, you can do this with anything. These GPTs are very, very useful. And thing is, you can upload more information, and just use your imagination on how you can use this. And it's, for me, I see all of this as a way to enhance what I already do. And so I use this just like that. I use it as a tool to enhance what I already do. So I can be better and faster at what I do, which is to write, which is to create, which is to give you guys better content out there. You can use this same thing as an advantage in your career. The Q&A one, I'm really surprised more people don't talk about that one, because this could be a huge help for testing, especially if you're going to a test or whatever. A huge help for that. And I think that's all I got, guys. I think, let me see if I have any questions here on some of the social media here. You see, let's see, no questions. No questions. All right, I think that's it, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate it. Sorry I was late. Had some personal stuff I had to take care of, but I'll try to make an attempt to be on time next week. Appreciate you. Thank you for watching. Anytime you have any questions, you know where to go. Um, I I'm free here to answer any questions you have. I'm an IT professional. I've been doing this for many years. My job, what my mission is to help as many people as possible to be in a better situation, because that's what happened with me in IT. I was able to get in this field, and it's been able to help feed me and my family and give us awesome trips all over the world and um, keep a roof over our head and pay bills and stuff. And I just thought to myself, man, I should probably tell other people about this job, because if I can do it, you can definitely do it. And it's worth your time because it pays really well. At some point, you have great career progression. I'm not saying it's for everybody. I'm not saying it's hella easy or anything, but I can tell you it is accessible, right? And that's it, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will talk to you